And I'm curious, for those who are unfamiliar with your work, like what is the core idea behind No More Mr. Nice Guy? And what problem were you really trying to solve when you wrote it?
No, I was trying to solve my own problems in my own marriage and a wife that was threatening to leave me if I didn't get help. That's the problem I was trying to solve. So I'll just start with that. I was in my second marriage, and I'd always prided myself as being a nice guy, i.e., different from my father, who was, moody, self-focused, selfish, demanding, kind of treated my mother like the patriarchal, slave
Mm,
that she was. And she was very codependent. And she raised me to be different from my father. She told me that when she was raising me as a boy. I grew up during the angry feminism of the 60s and 70s where, every man's a rapist and erection's a sign of aggression. So I didn't want to be that bad man. And I also was raised fundamental Christian, went to a Christian college, got 2 degrees in religion. And, I was just thought if I just treat everybody well, be different than all the jerks I'd heard women complain about, including my mother, then I would be liked and loved and get my needs met. Now, I didn't realize that there were a lot of consequences of that paradigm, that path, until much later in life. But so I was about 3 years into my second marriage, and my then wife said to me, she said, "Everybody thinks you're such a nice guy, but you're not." She says, "I can't trust you. You don't tell me the truth. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you want. You're passive aggressive. I think everything's fine, and then you blow up." She says, "You need to get help. If you don't get help, I'm leaving." And I thought, well, you're the one who's angry all the time. You don't like yourself. You never want to have sex anymore. You're always in a bad mood. I give you everything, you want. It's never enough. Okay, I need to get help. Yeah, and so I didn't want to lose that relationship. It was my second marriage, and I didn't want it to end. And she was very attractive, so there was a lot of motivation there to make it work. And I went to therapy trying to figure out why being a nice guy didn't make my wife appreciate me and want to have sex with me. And luckily, I landed in some really good places. I landed in a 12-step group for sex addicts because my wife said, "You're a sex addict." Well, you know, just because I wanted to have sex with my wife didn't make me a sex addict. I found out I wasn't having enough sex to be a sex addict, but it was just the perfect place to land. It was really my first men's group because it was all guys. And what was beautiful about that particular situation was once I realized, okay, I'm not a sex addict, but this is a good place to just talk about shit that I never talk about. So everything I'd go to these groups. I'd look forward to them. They met like at 5 or 6 in the morning, and I'd look forward to it because for the first time in my life, I just started sharing stuff, thoughts, feelings, actions, impulses that I never shared with anybody. I just kept in 'cause I'm a nice guy. I can't even look at that stuff inside, right? It's not, there's some shadows in there. There's some darkness. So, I mean, and so the worst thing that ever happened, I'd share stuff in this group and guys would go, "Thank you for sharing, Robert."
mm,
Yep. That's it. I go, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I can just talk about all this stuff and nothing bad happens." I got into therapy, started working with a therapist, working around some of my childhood family patterns that had led to this, lack of boundaries, going along to get along, trying to be different from my father, trying to be different from bad men. And then I landed in a men's group. A friend told me about a group he was in, led by a woman therapist who'd written some books on sexual shame. And I was in that group 5, 6 years, maybe.
mm.
So really did a lot of my work around connecting with men, um, making my needs a priority, practicing boundaries, releasing sexual shame. And it was during that time that I started and went to work on writing No More Mr. Nice Guy. And how that came about is that, when I'd started doing my own nice guy work, I went into therapy thinking being a nice guy was a good thing. A little while down the road, I thought, maybe it doesn't serve me well. I was a marriage and family therapist. And so guys were coming to me for therapy with their wives, their girlfriends, by themselves, saying, "I'm a nice guy. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I treat my woman better than her ex. I'm raising her kids. They go to private school. I buy her whatever car she wants. We go on nice vacations. I do everything around the house. It's never enough. She's never happy. She never wants to have sex anymore. When's it going to be my turn?" Right? I thought, wow, I can finish these guys' sentences for them. You're nodding your head like maybe you thought or said those things before.
In there.
So I started probably almost 30 years ago, maybe longer. My first Nice Guy, No More Mr. Nice Guy men's group. We met every other Wednesday. So Wednesdays, I just started writing. I wrote lessons, chapters to give to these guys what I was learning about what I came to call nice guy syndrome. And the guys in my groups, and I started another group, and then their wives and girlfriends are saying, Robert, you need to write a book. You need to go on Oprah. This could be a bestseller. There's a lot of guys out there that need this book. And so I kept writing about 6 or 7 years, and eventually turned into a book. Took about 3 years to get it published. A lot of publishing companies said, Robert, we like your book. It's well written, but our marketing department says men won't buy a self-help book. And I said, you don't understand these men. And how are they going to buy a self-help book if you never publish it? All right. For several years now, the book's been bringing in annual 6-figure royalty checks, getting bigger every year. So apparently men buy self-help books. And apparently there's a lot of nice guys out there that are buying the book. So basically a nice guy is the way I define it, is a man who at a very early age, childhood, 3 weeks old, 3 months old, 3 years old, 13, started emotionally internalizing a belief that there's something wrong with them. They're not good enough. They're not lovable. They're bad. That's called toxic shame. And so from that emotional belief that not being good enough or being bad, nice guys try to do two things. One is they try to become what they think other people want them to be liked and loved and get their needs met. So we're basically chameleons trying to just, okay, you're not in your head when I say that. I'll keep saying that. Oh, you smiled. I'll keep doing that too. But the second thing we're doing is trying to avoid anything that might get a negative reaction. So if you kind of scowled at me or kind of crossed your arms or looked angry, oh, I better not go there. I better reframe what I meant to say there because you didn't like it. And so there's no authenticity. There's no me inside of me, right? I'm just I'm codependent. I'm borrowed functioning. If you approve of me, I'm okay. If you need me, I'm great. If you don't need me, if you don't approve of me, if you don't like me, well, I got to fix that. I got to do something different. And so because of that lack of authenticity, lack of integrity, lack of honesty, lack of transparency, lack of an internal locus of control, internal direction in life, nice guys are often anything but nice. We are passive aggressive. We are indirect. We are dishonest. We can carry a lot of frustrations and resentments that build up till they blow up into what my ex-wife called victim pukes, where it just all comes out. All those conversations we've been rehearsing all just come out at once. It's not pretty. Then we have a shame attack that, oh no, I did something bad, and we go back and try to make everything better again and go back to what I call our covert contracts, our giving to get, and trying to maintain our relationships through these covert contracts. So if I do this for you, then you'll do this for me. And it just keeps repeating. And when things don't go well for us, like when women aren't attracted to us, or where our partner doesn't want to have sex with us, or our partner's angry at us, or our boss passes us over for a promotion, we tend to just double down and do more of what we've already been doing that doesn't work, because that's the only paradigm we know. It's the only roadmap we have. So that's kind of a pretty big nutshell of what nice guy syndrome is all about.